Hey everyone, it's Balar, and I'm going to talk to you about vendor walking in Path of Exile. So, what exactly is vendor walking? Essentially, it's a movement technique that speedrunners use in town to move around faster. Typically, when you interact with a vendor, you go click on it, and then the window pops up and you're stationary.
Bye.
Well, what vendor walking allows you to do is it allows you to open this interface and still have it open as your character is moving away, so you gain a little bit of travel time while you do stuff with the vendor or while you mess with your inventory. So it's a nice technique. It's not essential to use. It's just something that improves your time. It definitely improves your time, but to be really fast, there are other things you should probably focus on first. However, it feels pretty cool to do. And it helps you stay in rhythm, I find, when you're speedrunning. So let's talk about how to do it. Essentially, all vendor walking is it's two movement inputs. And it's two movement inputs in a sort of timing window. The timing window is as follows. Essentially, if you're playing in lockstep, as soon as you get to the NPC, or your character touches the NPC or object, for example, like after like a fraction of a second, you want to click away. So like a very short amount of time. So you can see it here when I go do it on Clarissa.
Yes.
I took too long to
Watch
do it,
yourself.
but as I did it right there, you'll see I run up,
Yes.
just barely touch her, and
Watch
then
yourself.
run away.
What is it?
And that is essentially all vendor walking is. It's just a timing window of a movement input onto the vendor, waiting for that movement input almost to finish all the way and the vendor window to pop up. But before the vendor window pops up, you want to click away again one time. So let's talk about a couple things that can mess with your vendor walking. First, if you're playing on predictive, the timing window is a little more delayed than it is on lockstep. I'm on lockstep right now. Number two, there are certain actions you can take that will close the window for you. So, for example, if you try and open up your passive tree, it will close your vendor window. If you hit exit, or if you hit a close dialog box, it'll close the vendor window. If you, for example, click your move only key after the menu is already open, it'll close it, which is what I just did there. This will even happen if you have the vendor window open itself.
Stay out of the shadows.
So those are a few of the things that will interrupt the process. Interestingly, if, for example, if you fat finger a key, like an action key, I'm clicking my Q there and nothing's happening to close the window. So essentially, you can inadvertently close your window by doing another movement input or opening up some sort of other interface, such as the passive tree, or doing some sort of action to close the window, such as the close dialog button or the exit key. So there's one last thing to talk about with vendor walking, and this is a little more advanced. There's another way of doing it, which involves using a move only key, and this only works if you have a move only key. If you try and do this with 2 mouse clicks, it will not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you sort of what happens with the 2 mouse click method, which is I vendor walk to wherever my mouse was when I clicked off. With the move only key, you can actually still keep moving around for a little while. So it looks something like this. The first click is normal, and then as I move away, I'm going to hold down my move only key. Right? Instead of just clicking, I'm going to hold it down. So the second input, I press my move only key down and keep it down, and I can run around. And then I can open my vendor window still. However, as soon as you open your vendor window, you need to let go of the move only key. Otherwise, it'll close the dialog, which is what just happened there. So again, we'll do it. Demonstration. I'm going to let go of my key, and you'll see that I can access the vendor system. Now, one important thing to keep in mind is there's actually a range at how long you can do this. There's like a leash before it won't work anymore. So we'll demonstrate using Clarissa. Essentially, I can do this vendor walk where I keep moving up until around like this area here. Past that point, it stops working reliably. So we'll demonstrate what I'm saying. We're going to walk all the way up the stairs, and we are going to walk to the entrance to the city of Sarn, or the slums, whatever that one is. And then I'm going to try and hit purchase items, and what you're going to see happen is that the window, this interface is just going to close and the vendor window will not open. Just as so. So that's essentially all you need to know about vendor walking in Path of Exile. In summation, it's really just the timing window of 2 movement inputs. Right as you get to the vendor, you want to click off. If you use a move only key, you can press and hold it to keep moving around while you vendor walk. It's a little more finicky though, and it has some limitations. All right, thanks for watching, and good luck with the vendor walking.